Prophecy number 1. Mark Twain's Halley's Comet death, 1835. Halley's Comet appeared in Earth's sky. 2 weeks after it reached perihelion, Samuel Clemens was born, November 30th, 1835. The boy who would become Mark Twain grew up knowing he'd been born during the comet's passage. He found significance in this, a cosmic connection. In 1909, Twain made a prediction. He wrote, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it. It will be the greatest disappointment of my life if I don't go out with Halley's Comet. The Almighty has said, no doubt. Now here are these two unaccountable freaks. They came in together, they must go out together." Halley's Comet was scheduled to return in 1910. Astronomers could calculate its orbit precisely. The comet would reach perihelion on April 20th, 1910. Mark Twain died April 21st, 1910. One day after the comet reached its closest approach to the Sun, 74 years after his birth during the previous passage. He predicted his own death, tied it to an astronomical event calculated years in advance, and died exactly when he said he would. Was this coincidence? Twain was 74 years old, in declining health. Perhaps he felt death approaching and simply connected it to the comet's return. But here's what makes it remarkable. He made the prediction in 1909. Over a year before the comet's arrival, he wasn't on his deathbed making a safe guess. He predicted more than a year in advance that he would die when the comet returned. And he did. The probability of dying on that specific date, predicted over a year earlier, connected to a 75-year astronomical cycle, seems impossibly low. Yet it happened exactly as Twain prophesied. Prophecy number 2. Morgan Robertson's Titanic prediction. 1898, 14 years before the Titanic sank. Author Morgan Robertson published a novella called Futility, or the Wreck of the Titan. The story describes an enormous British ocean liner, the largest ship ever built, considered unsinkable due to advanced safety features, making its maiden voyage across the Atlantic in April, carrying wealthy passengers, with insufficient lifeboats because authorities believed the ship unsinkable. The ship hits an iceberg in the North Atlantic. At night, moving at high speed, it sinks. Most passengers die due to insufficient lifeboats. The ship in Robertson's story was called the Titan. It was 800 feet long, displaced 70,000 tons, could carry 3,000 passengers, had 3 propellers, top speed 25 knots, 48 lifeboats, but capacity for 3,000 people. 14 years later, the real Titanic sank. 882 feet long, displaced 66,000 tons, could carry 3,000 passengers, had 3 propellers, top speed 23 knots, 20 lifeboats with capacity for 1,178 people, but carrying over 2,000 passengers. Both ships were British, both deemed unsinkable. Both sank in April in the North Atlantic after hitting an iceberg at night while traveling at high speed. Both resulted in massive loss of life due to insufficient lifeboats. The names are almost identical. Titan, Titanic. The details match with eerie precision. Robertson claimed the story came to him in a kind of trance, that he wrote it in unusual haste, that he didn't consciously plan the details. They simply appeared in his mind fully formed. After the Titanic sank, people accused Robertson of somehow knowing about the disaster in advance. He insisted he'd simply written a plausible story about future shipbuilding and the dangers of hubris. But the specific details are too precise. The name, the size, the speed, the route, the month, the iceberg, the insufficient lifeboats, the claim of being unsinkable, all matching 14 years before it happened. Coincidence? Or did Robertson somehow see the future and write it as fiction because he didn't know what else to do with the information? Prophecy number 3. Edgar Cayce's Dead Sea Scrolls. Edgar Cayce was called the sleeping prophet. He would enter a trance state and give readings, medical diagnoses for people he'd never met, historical information, future predictions. Between 1901 and 1944, Cayce gave over 14,000 documented readings. Many were recorded and verified. Some contained information Cayce had no normal way to know. In June 1943, Cayce gave a reading about ancient Essene communities near the Dead Sea. He described scrolls and records preserved in caves, documents containing religious texts and historical information from the time of Jesus. Cayce said, "These records would be found in caves near the Dead Sea. They would revolutionize understanding of early Christianity and Judaism. The discovery would happen soon." At the time, no such scrolls were known. No archaeological evidence suggested ancient documents survived in that region. The idea seemed implausible. 4 years later, in 1947, Bedouin shepherds discovered clay jars in caves near Qumran by the Dead Sea. Inside were ancient scrolls, thousands of documents, biblical texts, community rules, historical records from the Essene sect, dating from 3rd century BCE to 1st century CE. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the most significant archaeological discovery of the 20th century, found exactly where Cayce said they would be, containing exactly the type of information he described. Discovered 4 years after his prophecy, 1 year after his death. Cayce also predicted they would change understanding of early Christianity and Judaism. They did. The scrolls provided unprecedented insight into the religious environment of Jesus' time, confirmed the accuracy of biblical texts, revealed the beliefs and practices of the Essene community. How did Cayce know? The scrolls had been hidden for nearly 2,000 years. No historical records indicated their existence. No archaeological surveys had identified the caves. Yet he described them with specific accuracy years before their discovery. Prophecy number 4. Nostradamus and the Great Fire of London. Michel de Nostradamus, known as Nostradamus, 16th century French astrologer and physician, published Les Prophéties in 1555, a collection of 942 poetic quatrains predicting future events. Most of Nostradamus's prophecies are vague, open to multiple interpretations, easy to fit to various events after they occur, but some are disturbingly specific. Century 2, Quatrain 51. The blood of the just will be demanded of London, burnt by fire in the year 66. The ancient lady will fall from her high place, and many of the same sect will be killed. This was written in 1555, 111 years before the event it describes. September 2nd, 1666. A fire started in a bakery on Pudding Lane in London. It spread rapidly, burned for 4 days, destroyed 13,000 houses, 87 churches, most of the City of London, including St. Paul's Cathedral, the ancient lady referenced in the prophecy. The fire occurred in the year 1666, as specifically stated in the prophecy. In the year 66, London burned. The old St. Paul's Cathedral, built in 1108, was destroyed. The ancient lady fell. The fire started in September, near the end of summer, burnt by fire in the year 66. The quatrain also mentions blood of the just will be demanded. While the Great Fire itself killed few people, it occurred during a period of religious persecution. The fire was followed by suspicion falling on Catholics, and several were executed. The sectarian violence Nostradamus predicted. Critics argue Nostradamus's prophecies are vague enough to apply to many events, that people retrofit prophecies to match occurrences after the fact, but this quatrain specifically mentions London, specifically gives the year as 66, specifically describes fire, specifically mentions an ancient lady falling, which precisely describes St. Paul's Cathedral. How did Nostradamus, writing in 1555, know that London would burn in a massive fire in 1666? That an ancient cathedral would be destroyed? That religious persecution would accompany the disaster? 111 years is too long for an educated guess about urban fire risks. The specific year, the specific city, the specific details, all accurate. Prophecy number 5. Nikola Tesla's wireless world prediction, 1926. Nikola Tesla gave an interview to Collier's magazine. He made predictions about future technology. Some seemed absurd at the time. Tesla said, "When wireless is perfectly applied, the whole Earth will be converted into a huge brain, which in fact it is, all things being particles of a real and rhythmic whole. We shall be able to communicate with one another instantly, irrespective of distance. Not only this, but through television and telephony, we shall see and hear one another as perfectly as though we were face to face, despite intervening distances of thousands of miles. And the instruments through which we shall be able to do this will be amazingly simple compared with our present telephone. A man will be able to carry one in his vest pocket." 1926. Radio was new. Television was experimental. Long-distance communication required physical wires or radio towers. The idea of pocket-sized devices allowing instant global communication seemed like fantasy. Tesla described smartphones, the internet, video calling, social media, wireless global communication, all in 1926. 83 years before the iPhone, 73 years before widespread internet. He said devices would be amazingly simple and fit in a vest pocket, exactly describing modern smartphones. Small, simple to use, capable of instant communication across any distance, with video and voice. He predicted the Earth would become converted into a huge brain, a global network of interconnected minds sharing information instantly. This is precisely what the Internet became, a neural network of human consciousness, all connected, sharing thoughts and information in real time. Tesla wasn't making vague predictions about improved communication. He described specific technologies that didn't exist: pocket-sized wireless devices, global instant communication, video calls over any distance, the Earth as a connected brain. Some argue Tesla was simply extrapolating from existing technology, but the leap from 1926 radio to smartphones and internet is enormous. Multiple technological revolutions, transistors, integrated circuits, satellites, fiber optics, cell towers, computing power, touchscreens. None of this existed or was even theoretically understood in 1926. Yet Tesla saw it all, described it accurately, down to devices in vest pockets. The global brain metaphor perfectly captures what the internet became. How did he know? Was he such a genius that he could envision multiple future technological revolutions? Or did he somehow see the future and describe what he saw? Prophecy number 6. The Curse of Tecumseh. 1811. Shawnee leader Tecumseh fought to resist American expansion. At the Battle of Tippecanoe, William Henry Harrison's forces defeated Tecumseh's Confederacy. According to legend, Tecumseh or his brother Tenskwatawa placed a curse. The curse stated, every president elected in a year ending in 0 would die in office. The Great Spirit would take revenge for Tecumseh's death. The curse would continue until the 7th president elected in a 0 year. William Henry Harrison was elected president in 1840. He died in office 31 days after inauguration. Pneumonia. The first president to die in office. Abraham Lincoln, elected 1860. Assassinated 1865. James Garfield, elected 1880. Assassinated 1881. William McKinley, elected 1900. Assassinated 1901. Warren G. Harding, elected 1920. Died in office 1923. Heart attack. Franklin D. Roosevelt, elected to third term 1940. Died in office 1945. Cerebral hemorrhage. John F. Kennedy, elected 1960. Assassinated 1963. 7 consecutive presidents. Elected in years ending in 0. All died in office, spanning 123 years. From 1840 to 1963. Ronald Reagan was elected in 1980. He was shot in 1981. Seriously wounded, but survived, breaking the curse. He was the 8th president elected in a 0 year, and the first to survive. George W. Bush, elected 2000, survived 2 terms. Joe Biden, elected 2020, currently still alive. The curse predicted specific deaths, tied to a specific pattern, years ending in 0. 7 presidents would die, then the curse would end. And it happened exactly that way. 7 presidents died. The 8th survived despite an assassination attempt, the pattern broken precisely when the prophecy said it would break. Coincidence? The odds of 7 consecutive presidents elected in 0 years dying in office, followed by the next one surviving, seem astronomically small. Yet it happened exactly as the curse predicted. Prophecy number 7. John Titor's IBM 5/100 prediction, November 2000 through March 2001. Someone using the name John Titor posted on internet forums, claimed to be a time traveler from 2036, sent back to 1975 on a military mission. His mission: retrieve an IBM 5100 portable computer. This specific computer contained unique programming abilities, code that would become critical in the future. His timeline needed this machine to debug legacy systems. At the time, the IBM 5100 was an obscure machine from 1975. Few people remembered it. It seemed like a random, specific detail. Why would someone claim to time travel for an obsolete computer? Titor explained. The IBM 5100 had a hidden feature: an undocumented ability to translate between different programming languages. This capability would be needed to fix the Unix 2038 problem, a date overflow issue similar to Y2K, but more serious. He provided technical details about the 5100's architecture, mentioned specific capabilities that weren't publicly documented, described its importance in ways that seemed odd in 2000. After Titor stopped posting in March 2001, researchers investigated his claims about the IBM 5100. They discovered he was right. The IBM 5100 did have undocumented features. It could run multiple operating systems, had unique capabilities for handling different code bases. Engineers who worked on the machine confirmed abilities that weren't in official documentation. More disturbing, the machine had been designed with hidden functionality specifically for debugging old code, exactly what Titor said it would be needed for. This wasn't widely known in 2000 when he made his claims. Titor also made other predictions. Some failed, but his specific knowledge about the IBM 5100's undocumented capabilities was accurate. How did an internet poster in 2000 know about hidden features in a 1975 computer that even IBM barely documented? Was John Titor really from the future? Probably not. But he had accurate information about obscure technical details that weren't publicly available. Information that matched his explanation for why a time traveler would want that specific machine. Prophecy number 8. Hopi Blue Star Prophecy. The Hopi people have maintained oral prophecies for centuries, predictions about future events, stages of world development, signs that would mark transitions between ages. One prophecy describes 9 signs that would appear before a great purification. The 9th sign: you will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens, above the earth, that shall fall with a great crash. It will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this, the ceremonies of my people will cease. This prophecy was recorded in written form in 1959. But Hopi elders say it's much older, passed down for generations. The dwelling place in the heavens could describe a space station. The International Space Station has been continuously occupied since 2000. It's literally a dwelling place above the earth in the heavens. The prophecy says it shall fall with a great crash and appear as a blue star. The ISS is scheduled for deorbiting and controlled destruction around 2030. When it deorbits and burns up entering the atmosphere, it could appear as a brilliant blue-white streak across the sky. A falling blue star. The prophecy hasn't fully come true yet. The ISS hasn't fallen. But the prediction of a dwelling place in the heavens that will eventually fall is remarkably accurate. Spoken by people with no conception of space stations or orbital mechanics. The Hopi also predicted earlier signs. The Earth shall be crisscrossed by a giant spider's web, telephone and power lines, or the Internet. The Earth shall be crisscrossed with rivers of stone that make pictures in the sun. Highways with heat shimmer. You shall hear of the sea turning black and many living things dying because of it. Oil spills. Each prediction, made before the technology existed, describes modern developments with eerie accuracy. The spider's web, rivers of stone, the sea turning black, the dwelling place in the heavens. Indigenous peoples with no access to technological forecasting somehow predicted specific aspects of modern civilization. Global communication networks, highways, environmental disasters, space stations. How did they know? Were these educated guesses about inevitable development, or genuine visions of specific future realities? Prophecy number 9. The Third Secret of Fatima, 1917. 3 shepherd children in Fatima, Portugal reported seeing the Virgin Mary. She appeared to them 6 times between May and October, gave them messages and prophecies. 2 secrets were revealed publicly: predictions about World War II, the rise and fall of Soviet communism. Both came true with remarkable accuracy. The third secret was written down by Lucia Santos, one of the children, in 1944, sealed. Not to be opened until 1960. It remained sealed until 2000. When finally revealed, the third secret described the assassination attempt on a pope, specifically mentioning a bishop in white being shot. May 13, 1981. Pope John Paul II was shot in St. Peter's Square by Mehmet Ali Aka. The pope survived, but the attack happened exactly as the prophecy described. A bishop in white, shot, in a public square. The remarkable detail, May 13th. The date of the assassination attempt was also May 13th, 1917. The date of the first Fatima apparition. 64 years to the day. Pope John Paul II attributed his survival to the Virgin of Fatima. One of the bullets that struck him was later placed in the crown of the statue of Our Lady of Fatima in Portugal. The prophecy was written in 1944. Sealed. Unknown to anyone but church authorities. It predicted an assassination attempt on a pope. The attempt happened 37 years later. On the anniversary of the original vision, skeptics note the third secret wasn't revealed until after the assassination attempt, that the church could have retrofitted the prophecy to match events. But multiple bishops confirmed the document's authenticity, that it had been sealed since 1944, that it genuinely predicted the 1981 attack. How did 3 Portuguese shepherd children in 1917 foresee an assassination attempt 64 years in the future? On the exact anniversary of their vision? Why that specific date? Prophecy number 10. Israel's rebirth in one day. Approximately 700 BCE, the prophet Isaiah wrote a prophecy about Israel. Recorded in Isaiah chapter 66, verse 8. Who has heard such a thing? Who has seen such things? Can a land be born in one day? Can a nation be brought forth at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. This prophecy predicted something unprecedented, a nation being born in a single day, not gradually developing, not slowly achieving independence, but instantaneously becoming a nation. For 2,600 years, this seemed metaphorical. Nations don't appear overnight. They develop over time through conquest, settlement, or gradual independence. May 14, 1948. The British Mandate for Palestine expired at midnight. That same day, David Ben-Gurion declared the establishment of the State of Israel. The United States recognized Israel's sovereignty immediately. The Soviet Union followed 3 days later. Israel became a nation in one day, on May 14, 1948. After 2,000 years of Jewish diaspora, a Jewish state was re-established. Not gradually, not through prolonged war. Instantaneously, by declaration. The prophecy from Isaiah 700 BCE came true literally. Can a nation be brought forth at once? Yes, Israel was. In one day. The prophecy also mentions Zion travailing and bringing forth children. The Holocaust, World War II, and the desperate plight of Jewish refugees represented the travailing. The founding of Israel, providing a homeland for Holocaust survivors and displaced Jews, was bringing forth children. This wasn't a vague prediction about eventual Jewish return to the land. It specifically said the nation would be born in one day. And it was, 2,600 years after the prophecy was written. Modern Israel's founding fulfilled other prophecies too. The desert blooming, Hebrew language revival, Jews gathering from nations worldwide. But the born in one day prediction is the most striking, because it seemed impossible until it happened.